Hey y'all, it's your boy Colin. Hey, you know I like to go down to the club every now and then to blow off a little bit of steam. But it seems like when I watch my videos now, I'm seeing lots of shootings down at the club. And it's a black thing. You don't see white people doing this. Now, Tim Wise says after his 25,000 years of experience, he knows how to read the data better than anybody else. And Colin got it all wrong. All right, Tim, explain all these shootings to me. In the club, out of the club, mass shootings, double shootings. Fellas have been busy.
'Cherokee County deputies are investigating a deadly shooting at a local club. They say it happened around 3:30 this morning at the Sugar Shack nightclub on Wilcox Avenue in Gaffney. Investigators say shots were fired both inside the club and in the parking lot. 5 people were shot and at least 4 vehicles were hit by gunfire. One person was taken to Spartanburg Medical. He's been identified as Montreal McCollins of Gaffney, and the coroner says he did die in surgery. The other 4 were taken by personal vehicles to 2 separate hospitals.
Got on camera bullets flying inside a D.C. club. Watch here. You can see the flashes right there on this surveillance camera as people run for safety. Stephen Sheeta covering D Street along H Street Northeast as police search for that man pulling the trigger.
Surveillance cameras caught the whole thing go down. First, a dispute between 2 people. One pulls out a gun, waves it around, then the bullets fly. You see flash after flash. Another suspect assaults the man who just got shot. Then a third suspect gathers up the gun, and all 3 take off.
Oh, wow. Wow, I did not know that.
Malcolm Stewart has lived in this neighborhood for decades. He owns the hair salon next door.
I've seen this neighborhood change so drastically over the last decade that something like that wasn't even happening 35 years ago.
The man who was shot rushed to a hospital treated for life-threatening injuries. He still is hanging on as the search for the 3 suspects continues. Meanwhile, some of those who frequent the bars, restaurants, and shops along H Street are worried.
That's horrible. You can't even go into a restaurant and all this shooting going on.
Breaking overnight, a man and a woman are dead and 2 others are seriously hurt after being shot in Elizabethtown.
Police say the 4 victims were shot at 2 different places. Let's get to Kristen Kennedy at the Alert Desk. Kristen, what are we learning now?
Well, Andrea, we know that a man is in custody this morning. Police believe he acted alone. Calls about gunshots started coming in around 11:30 last night. Officers say the first call came from a neighbor who heard shots fired on Warfield Street. Then they got a call of shots fired at the T-Mart gas station on North Mile Street. Then they found a victim at American Legion Park. She told officers she got shot outside the gas station and drove off to get away. 2 people are dead. 1 man found at the gas station and 1 woman found lying between 2 homes on Warfield Street.
Well, Gordon, there's been a very active weekend here in Spartanburg. The sheriff's office and the police station both looking for answers and clues in those shootings. It was active because it sent some of the victims to the hospital and it closed the doors of 1 business for good. Closed for good as the sign for Club 295 comes down because of a shooting that happened there early Sunday morning. It sent 2 people to the hospital and investigators looking for answers. James Eastep works for the property owner and says the lease spells out the rules for the renter. It says that if any events of illegal acts happen on the property, the lease is null and void.
In the last 3 months, there's been about 6 or 7 more incidents. So after the other night, it was time to do something about it. And we decided to change locks and shut this all down.
The property owner, who did not want to go on camera, reached out to community activist Jack Logan because of his reputation of speaking out against gun violence.
Anytime there's any type of violence and friction, they have the right to shut it down without a court order.
7 people were shot, 2 of them fatally, in a shooting on Chicago's South Side. It was at a lounge in the 900 block of East 75th Street. Police say the shooting happened after a fight inside the lounge that spilled outside. A 39-year-old man and a 36-year-old were both dead. Police say a suspect in a silver Ford allegedly fired those shots.
Just after 3 o'clock this morning, we had a report of shots fired at the Sidetrack Tavern at 664 East Illinois. As the bar lets out, it's not uncommon for Evansville police officers to be in that area to deal with crowd issues. That was the case early this morning. There was an officer in full uniform in a marked EPD car that actually heard the shots being fired. As he approached the scene, he saw multiple individuals near a vehicle. One of the individuals, as soon as he saw the officer, made a quick pace and got into the vehicle, while another individual stood outside and was banging on the window. The person that was outside banging on the window, it appeared to have blood on his clothing, and the officer actually engaged the people in the vehicle, drew a service weapon, and ordered the driver to stop. That driver refused and actually drove away from the scene, but the officer was able to get a detailed vehicle description, including a license plate, out over the radio to other officers that were responding to the call for shots fired. The vehicle was spotted by 2 other officers near Garvin and Franklin just a few seconds later, and they attempted to make a traffic stop, but the driver again refused to pull over. He led the officers on a short, low-speed pursuit that ended at the intersection of 10th and Cherry in downtown Evansville, where 3 individuals that were in the vehicle were taken into custody without incident. During the investigation and the backtrack of the pursuit, a firearm was recovered.
Todd, Karen, this corner is one of 2 locations where police officers exchanged gunfire with an armed robbery suspect. Much of what happened last night is still under investigation, but we can tell you that the police officers who fired their weapons have now been placed on desk duty while investigators sort out the facts in this case. Innocent bystanders were wounded in New Orleans Central Business District during a gun battle between police and an armed robbery suspect. It all started around 6:43 Sunday night as NOPD officers confronted a person of interest in an armed robbery investigation near Canal Street and Elk Place. According to the NOPD, the suspect pulled out a gun and started shooting at the officers, and 2 officers returned fire. 5 people waiting at a nearby bus stop were struck and wounded by bullets. The exchange of gunfire spilled over 2 blocks to the intersection of Elk Place and Tulane Avenue. That's where a Louisiana State Police trooper exchanged gunfire with the suspect and wounded him. The man was taken to University Medical Center where he later died. Police Superintendent Sean Ferguson said it's too early to determine whose bullet struck the bystanders.
These officers were fired upon first. So to preserve life, not just their life, but the public's life, they have to return fire. They have to respond to calls like this, like that, in that manner.
The suspect was wanted in 2 recent violent crimes in the Central City neighborhood. 29-year-old Reginald Bursey was accused of carjacking a woman on Saturday near the corner of Carondelet and Josephine Streets. He is also suspected in a February 8th armed robbery in the 1700 block of Clio Street. Sales associate Scott Hawthorne saw Bursey running from the scene.
I first made eye contact with him. He just kind of gave me this stare, and then that's when I realized I needed to just kind of step back.
Hawthorne said after hearing the man open fire on police, he's glad he didn't approach the suspect.
Because I kind of felt like he may or may not have a gun.
This is the man investigators say shot 5 people, killing 4 of them overnight, and he's still out there on the run. The GBI shared this picture of Daylon Gamble in the last 90 minutes. And we talked to one of the victim's friends who rushed to the scene after hearing what happened.
He didn't bother nobody, so this don't make no sense that somebody would shoot him.
And Channel 2 Steve Gelbach is live in Rockmart. And Steve, the GBI just released new information about their search and what's going on.
The manhunt is still on for Gamble. He is now wanted on 4 counts of murder. He may have taken a stolen pickup truck from this scene. That was found ditched, so we don't know really what he's driving right now. But GBI did clear the scene here at this apartment around 2:30. There's another scene they were at just 3 blocks from here. In total, 4 people are dead. 1 is still clinging to life, and this community is in disbelief. Family members of one of the 4 victims killed in 2 separate shootings came to the scene overnight, and the mother broke down with emotion.
It's gonna be hard.
Kendra Watley says one of the victims is a friend killed at her cousin's house.
He was a cool kid. He didn't bother nobody, so this don't make no sense that somebody would shoot him.
I think they were targeted, but I don't know why.
Rockmart's chief of police says 2 are dead inside a home, 2 more killed inside this apartment nearby. They are 2 men and 2 women. A 5th victim was shot in the face and flown to a hospital in Atlanta. The report of the shooting at the apartment came first. Officers responded around 8 Thursday night.
Just as they got to the first shooting, we got a call they were dispatched to the second shooting.
But police have not found the shooter, with the suspect or suspects still on the run and still many questions. The community is just starting to feel the shock and the loss.
It seems unreal because, you know, Rockmart is a small town.
It's just unheard of in a small community like this.
Richland County Sheriff's deputies responded to the 1700 block of Deca Boulevard this morning around 6:20 a.m. To reports of a shooting. When we arrived, we found that there were multiple victims at the scene. 2 of them were transported by ambulance. 3 others drove themselves to the hospital. We do not have an immediate threat at the scene at this time.
Please, sir. I want some more. Some people who watch this channel for a long period of time, well, they get a little impatient with me. They want to know the big picture. They want to know what's causing this. What's the solution? Colin, why is this happening, Colin? And every time I tell them I don't really know why, I'm just making these videos because there's a lot of people who are in denial, deceit, and delusion about them happening, or they're in denial, deceit, and delusion saying they're happening because of white racism. And we have to show people the truth. They don't like that. They get impatient with me. So I'm begging you, Tim Wise, please come in and tell us. Tell me what I got wrong. Tell me what we have wrong. Tell me what we got wrong when we say this black violence is so wildly out of proportion in all different kinds of places. Please. I mean, hell, you go around speaking every damn night to college campuses and high schools around the country. You're like a hero about this. We can't make sense of it. You can, Tim. Do it in a hurry, because otherwise some black kids are going to get angry.